For thousands of years, one light in the night sky has drawn more attention than almost any other. The Babylonians associated it with Marduk, the Greeks connected it with Zeus, the Romans named it after Jupiter, the chief figure in their mythology. These were the beliefs of ancient polytheistic societies, not facts about the planet itself. But their fascination is easy to understand. Jupiter is brighter than most objects in the night sky, larger than every other planet in our solar system, and powerful enough to influence the paths of objects millions of kilometers away. Recently, a much stranger claim has begun circulating online. Videos and posts suggest that the Book of Enoch described Jupiter not as a planet, but as a heavenly watcher positioned at the edge of an ancient cosmic boundary. Some versions of the story claim that Jupiter's great red spot is the watcher's unclosing eye. Others say Jupiter was assigned to stop wandering fires from reaching the inner heavens, and that its ancient post may now be weakening. It is a fascinating story. It connects an ancient manuscript, a giant storm, a mysterious planetary interior, and one of the most violent impacts ever observed. But fascination is not evidence. So what does the Book of Enoch actually say? And how much of this viral mystery survives when the ancient text is separated from modern speculation? Before going any further, one distinction matters. The Book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish apocalyptic collection. It is preserved as part of the biblical canon of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, but most Jewish and Christian traditions do not treat it as canonical scripture. From an Islamic perspective, it is not the Quran, not an authenticated book of Revelation, and not a reliable source from which beliefs about the unseen can be established. It may be studied as an ancient historical text, but any claim attributed to it must still be verified, rather than accepted simply because it sounds mysterious. If you enjoy investigations that separate ancient texts, viral claims, and documented science, subscribe. Here, the mystery matters, but so does the evidence. The Book of Enoch survived in its most complete form through manuscripts written in Ge'ez, the ancient liturgical language of Ethiopia. Fragments in Aramaic were also discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, showing that portions of the work circulated many centuries before the complete Ethiopian manuscripts known today. The collection contains several major sections dealing with fallen watchers, judgment, symbolic visions, heavenly journeys, and the movement of celestial lights. The part usually invoked in the Jupiter theory is known as the astronomical book, generally covering chapters 72 through 82. It describes the movements of the sun and moon, phases, seasons, winds, portals, and a 364-day calendar. Its cosmology reflects the ancient world in which the text developed. It is not a modern astronomy manual, and its purpose is mainly calendrical and religious rather than scientific. Here is the crucial problem with the viral claim. The astronomical book does not plainly identify Jupiter as an outer watcher. It does not describe the Great Red Spot as an eye that never closes. It does not say that a being stationed inside Jupiter generates endless heat, and it does not contain a clear warning that the closing of Jupiter's eye will expose Earth to wandering fires. Those details appear to be modern additions or highly imaginative interpretations, not direct statements from the standard text. There are watchers elsewhere in the Book of Enoch, and there are stars or heavenly bodies described as disobeying an assigned order. But combining those separate ideas with Jupiter's modern scientific features is an interpretive leap. Saying, the Book of Enoch reveals what Jupiter actually is, therefore goes far beyond what the manuscript itself establishes. That does not make Jupiter less extraordinary. In fact, the documented science is more than dramatic enough without inventing an ancient quotation. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. More than 1,300 Earths could fit inside its volume, although its mass is about 318 times that of Earth because it is composed mainly of hydrogen and helium. Its gravity has played an enormous role in shaping the solar system. It can capture objects, redirect them, eject them into distant space, or send them toward the inner planets. Jupiter is not simply Earth's cosmic shield. Its influence is more complicated, sometimes protective, sometimes disruptive, but always governed by physical laws. The planet's most recognizable feature is the Great Red Spot, a vast anticyclonic storm in its southern hemisphere. Astronomers have observed a large reddish feature there since at least the 19th century, with possible earlier observations going back further. At its greatest historically measured size, the storm was wide enough to span several Earths, Today, it is much smaller, though it remains larger than Earth in diameter. That slow contraction is real. The storm has been shrinking for generations, and scientists continue studying how it maintains itself, how deeply it extends, and whether it will eventually stabilize or disappear. But describing it as an eye is a visual metaphor. There is no scientific evidence that it is conscious, supernatural, or watching anything. NASA's Juno spacecraft has transformed what we know about the planet. After arriving at Jupiter in July 2016, Juno entered a long polar orbit designed to bring it close to the cloud tops for short periods, while limiting exposure to Jupiter's brutal radiation environment. Its instruments measure gravity, magnetic fields, atmospheric composition, microwave emissions, and the structure beneath the clouds. One of Juno's most important discoveries concerns Jupiter's core. Older simplified models often imagined a relatively compact core separated clearly from the layers above it. Juno's gravity data instead point toward a diffuse or dilute core, where heavier material may be mixed through a much larger region of the interior. Scientists continue debating how this structure developed. One possibility is that a major collision early in Jupiter's history disrupted a more compact core. Another is that mixing occurred gradually over billions of years. This uncertainty does not mean that something supernatural has been detected inside Jupiter. It means that real planetary interiors are more complex than earlier models could fully predict. Science advances precisely by changing its models when new measurements arrive. Jupiter also emits more energy than it receives from the Sun. That sounds mysterious, but it has a well-established physical basis. The planet is still slowly contracting under its immense gravity. As it compresses, gravitational energy is converted into heat through a process associated with Kelvin-Helmholtz contraction. Scientists continue refining the details of Jupiter's internal heat flow, but excess heat alone is not evidence of an immortal being or an inexhaustible supernatural presence. Its magnetic environment is equally extreme. Jupiter possesses the strongest planetary magnetic field in the solar system. Deep inside the planet, enormous pressure forces hydrogen into a metallic state capable of conducting electricity. Motion in this electrically conducting layer helps generate the magnetic field. That field traps charged particles and creates radiation belts dangerous enough to damage spacecraft electronics. The Jovian magnetic environment also interacts powerfully with Io, the innermost of Jupiter's 4 largest moons. Io is the most volcanically active known body in the solar system. Jupiter's gravity, combined with the gravitational influence of neighboring moons, repeatedly stretches and compresses Io. This tidal flexing generates internal heat and drives constant eruptions. Material escaping from Io forms a vast ring-shaped cloud of charged particles called the Io plasma torus, which contributes to Jupiter's intense auroras. Europa presents a different mystery. Beneath its frozen surface, evidence strongly suggests the existence of a global saltwater ocean. Tidal heating may keep at least part of that ocean liquid. This makes Europa one of the most compelling places to investigate whether environments capable of supporting microbial life might exist beyond Earth. But potentially habitable does not mean inhabited, and no confirmed extraterrestrial life has been found there. Then there is Shoemaker-Levy 9, the event that most strongly feeds Jupiter's reputation as a cosmic guardian. Astronomers Carolyn and Eugene Shoemaker and David Levy discovered the comet in March 1993. It had already passed extremely close to Jupiter and been torn into a chain of fragments by the planet's tidal forces. In July 1994, those fragments collided with Jupiter one after another over several days. Observatories around the world, along with the Hubble Space Telescope and the Galileo spacecraft, watched the event unfold. The impacts produced enormous atmospheric scars, some wider than Earth. They gave scientists an unprecedented opportunity to observe a major collision on another planet. The event also demonstrated Jupiter's ability to capture and destroy an object, but it did not prove that the comet was heading toward Earth, nor did it establish that Jupiter exists specifically to protect humanity. Gravitational simulations show that Jupiter can both reduce and increase impact risks depending on an object's orbit. From an Islamic perspective, Jupiter and every force operating through it are part of Allah's creation. The planet has no independent will, divine status, or supernatural authority. If its gravity diverts an object, that occurs through the order and physical laws Allah has created, not because Jupiter is a god, a conscious protector, or a being controlling the heavens by its own power. This is where the real lesson of the viral Enoch theory appears. A storm looks like an eye. An ancient text mentions watchers and wandering heavenly bodies. Jupiter emits internal heat, possesses an unusual core, and sometimes captures incoming objects. Place those facts beside one another, remove their original contexts, and they begin to resemble a single hidden story. But resemblance is not proof. Humans are exceptionally good at recognizing patterns. That ability helps us make discoveries, but it can also lead us to connect unrelated details. Once the Great Red Spot is called an unclosing eye, every scientific fact about Jupiter can be made to support the metaphor. Its magnetic field becomes a barrier. Its heat becomes a living presence. Shoemaker-Levy 9 becomes a deliberate interception. Its shrinking storm becomes a warning that the watcher is falling asleep. The story becomes powerful because each new fact appears to confirm it, but only after the interpretation has already been chosen. The responsible conclusion is not that the Book of Enoch secretly identified Jupiter. The responsible conclusion is that modern storytellers have combined general themes from an ancient manuscript with real features of a planet the original authors could not have observed in modern detail. The Great Red Spot cannot be seen with the unaided human eye. Jupiter's diffuse core required spacecraft gravity measurements. Its radiation belts, metallic hydrogen, deep atmospheric structure, and plasma interactions were revealed through modern physics and space exploration. None of this reduces the wonder of Jupiter. It increases it. Jupiter does not need to be a supernatural watcher to be astonishing. It is a world without a solid surface, wrapped in violent bands of cloud. Its storms can outlive generations. Its interior produces heat under pressures difficult to reproduce on Earth. Its magnetic field dominates millions of kilometers of space. Its moons contain active volcanoes, hidden oceans, ancient ice, and environments unlike anything on our planet. The Book of Enoch remains historically important for understanding ancient Jewish apocalyptic thought and the religious world surrounding the centuries before and after the beginning of the Christian era. It can be examined, translated, compared, and discussed, but historical interest should not be confused with authenticated revelation, and speculation should never be presented as a direct quotation. So, did the Book of Enoch reveal what Jupiter actually is? Based on the surviving standard text, no. It does not clearly identify Jupiter as a watcher, describe the Great Red Spot as an unclosing eye, or warn that Earth will become exposed when that eye closes. Those are modern interpretations, layered onto an ancient work. What Jupiter actually is remains remarkable enough. A giant planet that helped shape the solar system, a laboratory of extreme physics, and a reminder of how much remains to be learned about the worlds Allah has created. The next time Jupiter appears as a brilliant point in the night sky, remember both sides of the mystery. Ancient people looked upward and built myths around it. Modern scientists sent instruments across hundreds of millions of kilometers to measure it. The myths tell us how human beings tried to understand the sky. The measurements tell us what the evidence currently supports. And when a viral story claims that an ancient text predicted a modern discovery, the most important question is not whether the connection sounds compelling, it is whether the ancient text actually says what the storyteller claims. In this case, the evidence gives us a clear answer. Jupiter is not proven to be an ancient watcher holding back wandering fire. It is a planet, one of the most powerful, complex, and awe-inspiring creations in our solar system, and the truth we can document is already more extraordinary than the legend.